Welcome to our Mind Opener YouTube channel. Today, I am here with a story that tells you how to lead your life to success. So let's continue the story. Today's story is The Seeds of Tomorrow. In a small town nestled between rolling green hills and a silver river, there lived a young boy named Ethan. He was 16, quiet, and often lost in thought. His father worked as a farmer, and his mother taught at the local school. Life in the town was simple, peaceful, but for Ethan, it felt like a cage. He dreamed of the world beyond the hills, the bustling cities, the tall buildings, the people who seemed to know where they were going. Every morning, as he helped his father plant seeds, he looked at the horizon and whispered, "One day, I'll go beyond this." But dreams, like seeds, need more than wishful thinking. They need work, patience, and courage.
The struggle. Ethan's father, Mr. Carter, was a man of few words. He had weathered hands and a back bent by years of labor. Every morning, he would hand Ethan a small bag of seeds and say, "Plant carefully. The ground remembers everything." Ethan didn't understand what his father meant. To him, farming was dull, repetitive, just digging holes and waiting for something to grow. What he wanted was adventure, not crops. One day, after a long morning in the fields, Ethan threw down his shovel and muttered, "This is useless. What's the point? I don't want to be a farmer forever." His father looked at him calmly and said, "Then what do you want to be?" Ethan hesitated. He'd never really thought about it deeply. "I want to do something great, something that matters." Mr. Carter smiled faintly and said, "Then start by doing small things greatly." Those words stayed with Ethan, even though he didn't quite understand them yet. That summer, a great storm swept through the valley. The winds howled like wolves, the river swelled, and lightning tore the sky apart. By morning, half the crops were ruined. Many farmers lost almost everything, including Ethan's family. Ethan watched his father walk through the destroyed fields, his boots sinking into the muddy ground. Yet he didn't curse, didn't weep. He simply knelt, picked up a handful of wet soil, and whispered, "It's not the end. It's the beginning." Ethan couldn't believe his calmness. "How can you say that? We've lost everything." Mr. Carter looked up at his son. "No storm lasts forever, Ethan. What matters is what you do after it passes." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking of the words his father had said. What you do after it passes. Something stirred inside him, a quiet determination. Maybe it wasn't about where he lived, but what he did with what he had. A small beginning. The next morning, before dawn, Ethan got up quietly. He walked to the ruined fields with a lantern and began clearing the debris. Broken branches, stones, torn leaves, he removed them one by one. It took hours. The sun rose, painting the world gold. When his father came out, he found Ethan working silently. Mr. Carter didn't say a word. He just smiled and picked up a shovel to help. For days, they worked together. They planted again, watered again, hoped again. The neighbors called them foolish. "Nothing will grow this season," they said. But Ethan didn't stop. He had learned that greatness begins when you keep going while others give up. The lesson of the soil. Weeks passed. One morning, Ethan noticed small green sprouts breaking through the soil. His heart leapt with joy. They were alive. He realized something powerful. The soil never forgets effort. It returns what you give it. Patience for patience. Care for care. Each morning, he spoke to the plants. "You're small now," he'd say, "but one day you'll stand tall." It wasn't long before he realized those words weren't just for the plants, they were for himself. The teacher's words. Ethan's mother, who taught literature, noticed his change. One evening, she handed him a book. "It's about a man who changed his world by changing himself," she said. The book was full of stories, of inventors, artists, and dreamers who started with nothing but faith and hard work. Ethan devoured it every night by lantern light. He learned that success wasn't a place, it was a process. Every failure, every storm was part of the journey. He wrote on the last page of the book, "Dreams don't grow in comfort. They grow in struggle." The test. Months later, just when the crops were tall and green, the valley faced another trial, a drought. No rain for weeks. The earth cracked, the leaves wilted, and despair settled like dust. This time, Ethan didn't panic. He built a small irrigation system using old pipes and buckets. Every evening, he carried water from the river, one bucket at a time, under the burning sun. His hands blistered, his shoulders ached, but he kept going. When his friends laughed at him, he only smiled and said, "I'm not watering crops, I'm watering my future." One night, When he was exhausted and ready to quit, he remembered his father's words. The ground remembers everything. He looked at his calloused hands and whispered, "Then let it remember this."
Weeks later, the rain returned. The valley came alive again. But this time, something miraculous happened. Ethan's fields were the only ones still green and strong. The other farmers couldn't believe it. When harvest time came, Ethan and his father stood among rows of golden wheat. The air smelled of hope and hard work. His father turned to him, pride in his eyes. "You've done well, son. Now you understand." Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, I do. The world gives back what you give to it."
Beyond the hills. A year later, Ethan received a scholarship to study agricultural science in the city. His work had caught the attention of a visiting researcher who saw his irrigation method. When Ethan stood at the edge of the village, ready to leave, he looked back at the fields, his first classroom, his first teacher. His father placed a small bag of seeds in his hand. "These are yours. Wherever you go, plant them, not in the soil, but in people's hearts." Ethan smiled, his eyes wet. "I will, Dad. I promise." Years later, Ethan became known for his innovations in sustainable farming. He traveled to many countries, teaching farmers how to save crops in harsh climates. But no matter where he went, he carried his father's bag of seeds with him, a reminder of where it all began. One day, he returned to his hometown. The once silent valley was now full of life and greenery. The people greeted him with joy. That evening, he stood in the field where he had once complained, once doubted, once learned. The sky was glowing with sunset colors. He whispered softly, "Thank you, soil. You remembered." The moral. Ethan's story became a legend in his town. Schools taught it to children, reminding them that success isn't about where you start. It's about how you grow. He proved that even a small seed planted with faith can grow into something that feeds the world. The story of Ethan is not just about farming. It's a seed of strength. Every obstacle is a test of patience. Greatness doesn't appear suddenly. It grows slowly, quietly, through the seasons of hard work and belief. Remember this: the ground remembers every step you take. The world remembers every effort you make. And tomorrow blooms from the seeds you plant today.
Have a good day to all of you who joined this beautiful story. See you another day with a similar story.